Hi everybody, I am Giselle Mascareñas, and today I'll be Anne Villarreal. It's just, I usually don't say the whole name because it's really long, but today I am Mrs. Villarreal, and I am the branding professor with Bold Institute.
I am Border Mayor, and let me tell you something really special about this video is we don't come out on video very often together.
Yeah.
What typically happens is I videotape her, and I'm a self-shooter. I do Melfies. So this is something we've been talking about, and it's actually a treat to be able to share the screen.
Actually, we've never talked about it. Our daughter has been like, you have to do video. Yeah, and she's right. Because the beautiful thing about this partnership in what we do is that he is actually the biggest success story that I've had in a late adapter, going from not even understanding the tools whatsoever about social media, not even wanting to do it, to using it to get so much attention on specific things that he is an expert in, and that got him all the way to the Discovery Channel to do a series.
In a nutshell, really fast, I was found through a Google search and social media. I went and I was on Border Live for 3 amazing weeks in New York City, and they found me, yes, on social media. But let's talk about what I'm talking about.
Why do you say 3 weeks? You were there 6 weeks.
Well, that's true. I did 6 weeks. You know what?
It keeps getting less and less, and I'm not sure. I've never known anybody.
Bad
Usually,
memory. I'm
usually
a late
people
adapter.
exaggerate it. Not this one.
No.
So what I want to talk about today is tricks on Instagram Story for you to be able to immediately have an engaging following. So how do we do that? Well, one of the things is using polls. And this guy is actually king of it. You want to share a little bit about even why you started?
I started because I had read somewhere that if you create engagement through polls, it helps kind of open up the algorithm. But I enjoyed them. I was asking questions, and I started using that as research and as basis for everything from sending your kids to school in the middle of a pandemic, to politics, to community. So the polls have become a wonderful feature that I enjoy doing, and I love all the feedback.
And because he started to do the polls, what happened in my brain was very quickly I saw how his engagement on the polls, which I wasn't really aware of. I saw him doing the polls and I would interact with them as well. But what I started to see was on his grid, his posts went from 40, 50 likes to 150, 200 likes. And I was like, what is going on? Like, he wasn't doing anything very different on his grid other than always sharing content. He's very consistent on sharing content, but it was because he was doing polls every day.
And then what happens after that, you start having conversations with people in your social media neighborhood, Instagram neighborhood. Yeah. We would share ideas, and we would share good practices and what, personal things that we were going through. So that community just turned into be this warm, comforting, very supportive group, and it all happened because of polls. And then they started direct messaging you, and it's just one step.
Yeah, and the thing about polls is it's a way for people to engage where you're not putting them to work. So they're choosing yes or no, or they're choosing, because also on polls you can change the yes or no to be an option. Tulips or roses, or whatever that is, and it's easy to be able to get people to engage with just a click.
Yeah.
So
you can be a little playful also. You can put yes, 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 and then nope. Anything
change
that's your something that you see that fits whatever you're talking about, given the circumstance. So yes, polls work, and I encourage everybody to late adapters and everybody between to give them a try.
Yeah. So I just finished doing a whole challenge on Instagram Story. So that challenge consisted of sharing with them how to engage authentically, and sometimes that's really difficult, but it was really cool because when we did the challenge on using polls, they seemed to find it a little easier to be able to share, because like the polls was like a little bit of a security blanket on, well, at least they'll, it's something for them to interact with. And actually every single one of them, even somebody who had 7 followers, had engagement. And that's the thing. Once you start to create something that people are able to participate in, people start to look for you and you become a resource. So the other beautiful way to use polls are my business leaders out there, people who are building organizations and communities and things like that, is it's a great way to have a focus group as often as you want. So I have begun to use it. So lately I have asked people, like, Do you use stories to communicate, or do you use stories to watch, just to watch people? And it was a resounding like 89% of my following, which is a very active following, and I want to thank you. You said just watch. So there's a lot of eyeballs out there, and you need to understand that just because you don't feel the engagement doesn't mean they're not there. You just haven't engaged them. You haven't done anything to be able to pull them in. And polls is the perfect way to do that.
And before we go, let me mention that coaches need coaches. Everybody needs to have somebody giving them input. You can have a friend, you can have a relative, whatever the case is. She's my coach, and believe it or not, I coach her. I'm the late adapter, but she wants.
Remember, he's the one that started polls before I even ever,
We bounce things off of each other. Find somebody in the social media world that you trust and who has your best interest at heart, and use them as your coach and or your soundboard. It sure does help. But you know what? If we can be of service to you, you can direct message us. I am Boarder Mayor.
And I am the branding professor, and we are always here to coach you to your success.